In the previous screencast, we showed how to create a Gluon CloudLink trial subscription and how to install and start the Gluon CloudLink dashboard. In this screencast, we show how to configure Gluon CloudLink and allow a mobile application to retrieve data from Stack Overflow using a request with a search keyword provided by the mobile app. While this is a very simple use case, it explains how the decoupling works between mobile functionality on the mobile app and enterprise configuration on Gluon CloudLink. We start where we left in the previous screencast when we opened Gluon CloudLink dashboard. There are a number of things that you can do here, but the one that we want to show in this screencast is the API management. Doing so, we can easily create functions that call into external services and that can provide data to your mobile applications. To start with, we will create a function that will query Stack Overflow for some searches on particular terms. We give the function a name. We call it, for example, Stack Overflow. And for the endpoint, we provide the REST API provided by Stack Exchange, actually. So it needs to be provided with a site, some order information, and the endpoint is api.stackexchange.com. This is a public service that doesn't require authentication. We will deal with authentication in later screencasts. We did not specify which search term we want to search for because that is a parameter that should actually come from the mobile client. We will add this parameter here. It's supposed to be a query param and the name is tagged. That's what Stack Exchange requires. And the value, we supply this with $1. $1 means that if the client is going to call the function Stack Overflow, the first parameter it supplies is mapped to the tagged parameter here, which is then sent along with the query to Stack Overflow. Once this is done, we can go to the app management view and we can create a project. We have to supply a name. We created a new folder Gluon demo app and we will put the application there. We give it the name Gluon demo and a package name, and the main class name will just be main. We will enable Afterburner, which allows for easy injection and communication between FXML views and controllers. And we will create one basic view. We'll call it the search view, for example. Now we're done and we can create our project. And the project has already been created in my home directory and then Gluon demo app. So I can now open my IDE and go to that project. It is recommended that you have the Gluon plugin in your IDE. For demo purposes, I will use the NetBeans IDE. So in NetBeans, we go to the project, which is called Gluon demo app. So that project has been opened now. And if we go to the source packages, we see that we have two packages. One of them contains the view information. So we created one view which was named search, and we have a view and a presenter class. The view extends the FXML view and the presenter will just present things. This application is not doing anything now, but I will run it. And you will see that it shows a phone simulator with a button. If you click the button, hello world, it's changing to hello JavaFX universe. We now want to change the app so that it's calling our remote function. In order to do so, we go to the action handler for the button click, which is here. And we will create a remote service. Note that the remote service is a class that's been auto-created by Gluon CloudLink dashboard. And on that service, some methods have been configured. This is the function that we created with Gluon CloudLink dashboard and which is available now on Gluon CloudLink. So we call the Stack Overflow function and we provide two parameters. One is the return type. As a beginner, we will just ask to get our information back in as a string, and we supply Java as a search term. So what will happen now if we click the button, the label will still be set to Hello JavaFX Universe, but we will also retrieve all the information from Stack Overflow. The return object is a Gluon observable object, and that one has a state property. We will listen to changes on that state property. And in case the state changes, for example, when the data is received, it will be in state succeeded. If the new value of the state property equals succeeded, in that case, we will for now simply print retrieved and the answer from Stack Overflow, which is in the Gluon observable object, which is an extension of the Java observable object. So we call the get method. If we now run this application, you'll see that if we click the change the world button, then after a while we got received and then a long list of items. So what happened now under the hood is that we called the remote service, and on the remote service, which was auto-created by Gluon CloudLink dashboard, we called the Stack Overflow function, and we supplied it with return type and then a parameter. This parameter, Java, corresponds to what we saw in the Gluon CloudLink dashboard in the API management to the first parameter here. So that is then completed. The URL is completed by the query parameter tagged, which is now Java. So that's what's happening when we call that service. We want to make it a bit nicer, of course. We didn't see anything in the UI yet. So what we will do now is we are going to create a new class where we keep track of the entries in Stack Overflow. We will call it Stack Entry. And just go on with the title, which is a string. And we will override the toString function, which will now return the title. Next, we create a class stack response, which is actually the response that we get from Stack Overflow as a JSON string, but then converted to a JSON object. And the only thing that we are interested in at the moment is just the list of stack entries, and we create the list, and we will call this items. That's all. Now we go back to the presenter class. So instead of asking for a string, we will ask the remote service, can you please return a stack response object? So what will happen then is that instead of getting the raw JSON string, the underlying Gluon CloudLink client framework will try to convert the JSON string into a stack response Java object. If we have that stack response Java object, the Stack Overflow.get will return a list. And this is a list that we can supply to a Java FX list view. So we will create a new list view. And the parameters of the list view, we can use the constructor that takes an observable list, fx collections dot observable array list, and we provide the Stack Overflow dot get, which is a stack response object, dot get items, which is a list of stack entries. And we don't need to print that anymore. So now that we have a list view that should contain the list of containing the titles of the different responses, we want to add that to the view. In the presenter, we have an injected field search, which is our whole view, which is actually a border pane. So we set the center of that border pane to the list view in order to have it centered at the center of the view. So if we now run the application, And if we click again on the change the world button, then after the data is being retrieved, it's visualized immediately. So with this screencast, we showed how you can easily install Gluon CloudLink and download the Gluon CloudLink dashboard to operate it. And we showed that after you did that, you can easily create a Java client application which contains no specific HTTP REST calls. At the contrary, it's just calling a service, a function that you created on Gluon CloudLink dashboard, which will then do the request on behalf of you. The important thing to remember here is that you can create a Java client application that talks to remote backend systems without having to configure the remote backend in your Java client application. So you can configure it using Gluon CloudLink dashboard, you configure it in the backend, and you can modify your application and you can modify Gluon CloudLink separate from each other. In the next screencast, we will highlight more functionalities offered by Gluon CloudLink.